Good evening. Welcome to another edition of the Focus TV. To be very specific, welcome to the 190th episode of the Focus TV. Octavia Wyatt, Cardell Dudley Jr., Raymond Lyons. Yeah, that number's going up. I don't pay attention too often. So if the number hit, it had to be a big number for me to realize. Cardell,
190.
that's the first, like my eyes don't even read the number on a flyer. It jumps down to the topics. It's already programmed. It's bad. But we got a lot planned for you guys tonight. NFC East update, so can't make fun of their division for a little bit. They acting out. Wizards, little college updates, 9-4-50 with Jamal Hayward as always. And of course, we got some time tonight. We're going to get into rapid fire a little bit, see what Cardell really got up his sleeve for us. I don't look forward to it, but why not? Let's go, Octavia.
Yes, so we can finally at least not laugh at most of the teams in the NFC East this week. It's a little bit weird. It's weird that we're not laughing. It's normal when we do laugh. But I'll start with the one team that if anybody wanted to laugh this week, it would be about them. The Giants played the Cardinals this past Sunday, and they lost to the Cardinals. Why don't I have the score there? That's crazy. 26-7 is what the score was. Daniel Jones was 11 of 21, 127 yards, 3 fumbles, only 1 lost. Colt McCoy was 2 of 3, 18 yards, and 1 fumble lost. Wayne Gallman, 12 carries, 57 yards, 3 receptions for 16 yards. And Deion Lewis had 2 carries for 14 yards and 1 touchdown and also 1 fumble. If you could hear, I definitely said multiple fumbles for players this week. Starting with Daniel Jones, who was coming back off of a hamstring injury that he suffered in last week's game. I'm sorry, not last week's game, the game before. He was off last week. They thought he was good enough to bring him out this week. He did look right from the beginning, in my opinion. Usually his game is when he mixes in his mobility, with the pass. He very rarely, if ever, left the pocket during this game. You could see it was a little bit strenuous for him to move like he usually does. It seems like the hamstring issue kept him, like I said, in the pocket, and he was only, like I said, 11 of 21 on his passes for 127 yards, which, if he's not leaving the pocket, which he's known for, it's going to make it a lot easier for the Arizona defense, which it was. But on the offensive side for the Giants, the Giants only had 10 first downs in this game and only netted 159 yards worth of yards this week. Defense didn't do too much better on the defensive side. They were able to make some stands overall, but wasn't in significant times and wasn't able to get, obviously the score stop the Arizona Cardinals. Part of it was with them being on the field for most of the game, around 37 minutes of the game, because the offense just was not clicking at all for them. Their special teams are a little bit shaky again. The Giants only rushed for 78 yards and 3 first downs in this entire game. Their offensive line, who has been doing well of late, did not this week. They allowed 11 quarterback hits and 8 sacks. That is a crazy stat line, especially, like I said, they were doing so well as the season were going on when they were trending upward. Arizona's Hassan Reddick hit Giants quarterback 6 times, and recorded a Cardinals franchise record 5 sacks and forced 3 fumbles. So Arizona had a day. The Giants did not. Again, they lost 26-7. Their next game is going to be against, let me pull that back up because I don't have it in front of me at this moment, but I'll get back to that. I'm sorry. Their next game is going to be against the Browns, and the Browns are coming off of a great Monday night game against the Ravens last night, back and forth. It's probably the best I've ever seen Baker Mayfield play. So they're trending outwards. The Giants are now in jeopardy of missing the playoffs again after they were in sole possession of first place last week. Which brings me to my next game, because now we have another team who's in first place in the NFC East, and that would be the Washington football team, who defeated the 49ers 23-15. Alex Smith was 8 of 19, 57 yards and 1 interception. Dwayne Haskins, 7 of 12, 51 yards, 4 carries for negative 12 yards. Brady McKissick had 11 carries for 68 yards and 2 receptions for 18 yards. And Logan Thomas had 6 receptions for 43 yards. As I went through those stats, you didn't hear anybody having any touchdowns. Usually the people that I choose to bring up in the stats are the people that score, regardless if they had 2 receptions for 5 yards and they had 2 touchdowns. We usually speak about that. That leads me to the fact that the Washington football team won this game without an offensive touchdown in this game at all. They earned their 4th straight victory, but it's kind of crazy how things come full circle. If you heard me, Dwayne Haskins was in this game. Apparently, Alex Smith has a calf injury. His calf got really, really tight on him, wasn't able to get it loosened up, and it is in the leg that he had surgically repaired. So for precaution reasons, he went in early at halftime and did not return to the game, and Dwayne Haskins replaced him. So it's going to be pretty interesting if this injury is significant for Alex Smith and he's out. He's been trending upward as well with the Washington football team. His play has actually been kind of balancing out for them. He's never done anything amazing. I mean, yes, he's had great games, but he's kind of like the even-keeled quarterback for them, which is kind of the opposite of Dwayne Haskins. He's kind of a little bit more reckless with his passes, hence most of his interceptions that he's had over his couple of starts that he's had this year. Alex Smith doesn't really have that. So it's going to be interesting to see if Alex Smith can't go. And with Dwayne Haskins coming in, now with the Washington football team being number 1 in the NFC East and kind of, controlling their own destiny, the only thing they really have to worry about is the Giants, because the Giants have the tiebreaker over them as far as wins and losses. But at this moment, they have more, they're ahead of them. So the other good thing, like I said, we talked about how nobody on the offensive side scored a touchdown, but the defensive side, the defense, I hate to say it, but they are elite. Again, Chase Young is becoming one of my favorite players. He's everywhere. They were able to get consistent heat on Nick Mullins. They sacked him 4 times. Chase Young, Darren Payne, Montez Sweat, and Kevin Pierre-Louis all totaling 1 sack apiece. On Payne's sack, he was able to strip the ball from Mullins, and Chase Young happened to be there, scooped it up, and ran it back. And also on another play, Cam Crow jumped an ill-advised pass by Mullins, was able to make a run on it, and then he ran for a touchdown as well. So they had 2 pick-6 type of plays. Had a strip sack for 6 and then interception for 6. Wasn't a good game for Mullins. Had it not been for their defense, who knows what would have happened in this game. Again, if the defense did not play as well as they did, more than likely they may not have won this game. But again, defense was there for them, and they were pretty solid everywhere around in the defensive end. Again, it's going to be interesting to see how the offensive side, brings it back together. They're experiencing some injuries outside of Alex Smith. Antonio Gordon didn't play this week as well. So they're relying more heavily on J.D. McKissick and Peyton Barber. So their next game for the Washington football team is going to be against the Seahawks. I'm sure the Seahawks are looking for a little bit of redemption against NFC East teams, although, yes, they did beat us, the Eagles, but they did lose to the Giants last week. They were able to play the Jets this past week. That was a handily win for them. But Washington, they have a great defense, and when the Giants did beat the Seahawks, their defense led it. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see if they're able to do that as well. Another big game that happened in the NFC East. We got another win in the NFC East from an outside team. The Cowboys beat the Bengals 30-7. Andy Dalton was 16 of 23, 185 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 carry for -1 yards. Ezekiel Elliott had 12 carries for 48 yards and 2 receptions for 11 yards. Tony Pollard had 11 carries, 39 yards, and 2 receptions for 9 yards and 1 touchdown. And Amari Cooper had 4 receptions of 51 yards for 1 touchdown. We talked about defense, and the defensive side for the Cowboys this week is really what got them the win. The Cowboys scored 17 points off of turnovers. The turnovers were so bad for the Bengals. They had to bench the running backs, Travion Williams and Giovanni Bernard. 4 fumbles. Their defense was looking pretty good this week. They were able to contain, the running game for the Bengals, or what running game they do have. But it was really the defense this week, in the Bengals version, the Bengals had the butt fumble. If you guys have ever seen the butt fumble from the Jets, they had their own version of it this week. So that did consist in one of the fumbles, but it happened. Aldon Smith was able to scoop up that fumble and score on a 78-yard return. The Cowboys had only forced 11 turnovers coming into the game, and they had coming into this game this week, and they were able to get 3 this past Sunday. Although their secondary still has a little bit of issues, whether it was just injuries or not being where they needed to be at the right time. They did have a plethora of injuries that happened, but although they were able to get some of those players back in those games, but that's always been kind of their Achilles heel. The other thing that wasn't really working too well for them, the running game seems to stall a little bit. Ezekiel Elliott did have a 26-yard run in this game, which is one of his longest of the season, if not the longest of the season. But they just weren't really able to get a legitimate rushing game going. Again, Zeke only had 12 carries. I'm used to him having anywhere between 15, 20, sometimes more. But it seems like they are splitting the load a lot more with Tony Pollard. I don't know if that's affecting Zeke. Maybe he needs more touches. But they will play the 49ers next week as well. We'll see if they get Zeke more touches this week or not, and see how they can fare in that game. And last but not least, finally I have something to smile about with my team, because it's been a tough 4 games last. They finally broke a 4-game losing streak. The Eagles played the Saints this week, and they were victorious. They won 24-21. Jalen Hurts was 17 of 30, 167 yards and 1 touchdown, and 18 carries for 106 yards. Miles Sanders had 14 carries for 115 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 4 receptions for 21 yards. And good old Alshon Jeffrey, who has been non-existent ever since he came back this season, had 1 reception for 15 yards and 1 touchdown. I can definitely say that this was probably one of the best defensive games I've seen us play in a very long time. They've been having some occasions where there were some okay ones, but against a caliber team of the Saints, although it's a Saints team without Drew Brees, but they have Taysom Hill, who has been playing better as the weeks have been going on with him, taking over for Drew Brees with his broken ribs. But this was probably one of the best games I've seen them play. The front 4 actually really came to play this week. They were able to hold Alvin Kamara, who entered the game 3rd in the NFL in total yards from scrimmage. He was only held to 50 yards rushing on 11 attempts and 44 yards in the passing game on 7 receptions. I have Alvin Kamara in my fantasy league, so I know how much he runs and how much he scores. So I was very surprised that they were able to contain him. The other big news that everybody's talking about is Hurts. I think he looked good in his debut, especially against a Saints team, with everything that they come and tell with. But he was 17 of 30, for throwing the ball, which is a little over 56%, which isn't great as far as throwing, but you can see how special he can be with his running. This was only the second time a rookie quarterback has had over 100 yards rushing in their debut game, and the only other person was Lamar Jackson. So he can run, and that opened up a lot of things. And as you see with him getting open and spreading the field a little bit more, Miles Sanders was able to get open. Jalen Reagor was able to get open. So it's working well. After the game, Doug Peterson would not commit to who would be starting next week, but he has since come out and said that Jalen Hurts will be starting next week, which to me just makes the most sense at this point in time. But they will play the Cardinals next week, which is a winnable game. I wouldn't have said that if this was this time last week because I honestly didn't think we would beat the Saints. But it's a winnable game, and with the Giants losing, it again opens up the NFC East for whoever doesn't want to lose enough to actually go out there and win the NFC East. So we have a lot to look forward to next week. Again, I said the Giants play the Browns next week. Craziest thing I've ever seen. I've never seen a 49er and Cowboys game gets flexed out of a Sunday night game for the Browns and Giants. I don't know what's going on in 2020, but it's crazy. I've never seen that happen. I wish they would have flexed our Sunday night game off that one time, but yeah, I've never seen this.
Hey, look, nobody deserves to see that game this Sunday. And Ray, finish the job. Tell your team to finish the job. Finish the job. Finish the job. Finish the job. Chase Young, hey, look, I'm happy with Chase Young. They finished the job. Finish the job. We got the greatest tank because the dude's trying. He just bad. Is it really a tank that they trying?
Do you think they're going to sit him down and put Beathard in?
What's the difference?
I mean, I know, but
what's the difference? No, throw the whole QB room away. Let it happen. No, let it.
Nick Mullins be looking so terrified. Like his face just looks terrified when he's out there.
The pick that he threw the juice, that was horrible. 5 people were open. This man held it for 6 seconds and threw it to a fullback on the sideline. Kyle probably aged like 6 years this year. Like, nah, just let it be. Burn the whole quarterback room down and just start anew. It's okay. It's okay. 2020 is affecting a lot of things. Let it affect the QB room. It's fine. If we start at the end of the year, if the QB room is different, job well done. Let's go Cowboys. I'm fine with this. We'll take a break when we get back. College update. We'll talk some GW hoops. Cardell got us on that. Little Maryland. And then the night 450 breakdown. You're watching the Focus TV. We will be right back. Welcome back to the Focus TV. As we just mentioned, Cardell, GW Hoops. Where are we starting this week?
Oh boy, it's ugly. It's ugly. It's ugly and foggy bottom. It's ugly. George Washington, after leading by 15 points at the half, 46-31, they were outscored 54-38 in the second half and overtime combined, and fell to William & Mary 85-84 at home. The game saw 22 lead changes and 10 ties. The Tribe's 85-84 overtime win marks the first road defeat of GW since 1967. There you go. Chase Parr went to work inside, finishing with 11 first half points for Sloan Seymour and Jameer Nelson Jr. Both finished the first half with 6 points off the bench. As the Colonials as a team shot 54% from the field, scored 30 points in the paint, and only turned the ball over once. And then the Tribe came alive in the second half. The one thing about the Colonials I have been most critical about is their defense for a full 40 minutes. It reared its ugly head again. William & Mary went on a 15-0 run to cut GW's deficit to 3, 51-48 with 11:27 left in regulation. From there, it was a back-and-forth affair as the Tribe battled and forced overtime. In overtime, senior point guard Luke Lowe scored back-to-back clutch layups, one at the 45-second mark, and the go-ahead lay-in with 13 seconds left to win the game. GW committed 11 of their 12 turnovers in the second half. William & Mary shot 59% from the field and 84% from the line in the second half. Then shot 5 and 9 in overtime to get the win without leading scorer Connor Kuchera. Luke Lowe finished with a game-high 24 points for William & Mary. Freshman guard Yuri Covington posted 16 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists. And junior Quinn Blair finished with 13 points and 5 rebounds. James Bishop led GW with 21 points. James Sabato added 17. Chase Parr finished with 13 and 8. And Matthew Moyer added a double-double with 10 points and 11 rebounds. Next up for the 1-5 Colonials is their final non-conference game of the season next Tuesday at home against Charlotte at 2 p.m. On the women's side, GW Women's came up short on the road to Howard, 63-53. Howard forced Kaya Creek, scored a career high 23 points on 5 and 9 shooting from deep, while Brooklyn Ford Davis posted a double-double, 13 points and 13 rebounds, providing a huge spark off the bench. GW was led by Maddie Lotus, 17 points, and Jasmine Whitney's 8 points and 6 assists. GW is similar to the fellas. GW had it going in the first half on both ends. They held the Bison to 23% shooting in the first quarter, then 27% shooting in the second quarter, taking a 35-21 halftime lead. In the second half, it was all Howard. Behind a vicious defensive effort, Howard forced 15 second-half turnovers while holding GW to only 14% shooting from the field. That's right, 5 of 35 shooting from the field in the second half, including 9%, 1 of 11 from three-point range. GW was held without a field goal for nearly 7 minutes in the third quarter. Howard cruised in the fourth, shooting 60% from the floor and 77% from the foul line. GW Women's fell to 2-3 when next faced Delaware this Sunday at noon. Howard improved to 3-0 on the season, which is the program's best start since 2004 when they opened that year 5-0, and they will host Navy tomorrow at 5 p.m. Also, in more college news, the CIAA, for those that don't know, the Bowie State's Division II conference voted to cancel men's and women's basketball, the CIAA tournament, and women's volleyball for the upcoming season due to, of course, COVID. The CIAA tournament was set to take place in Baltimore this season. Just a big blow to the college ranks. Once again, hideous disease, man. I can't wait till it's over so we can get back to normal life.
Goodness. Followed up with the Terps update. They had 3 games scheduled this week. It's going to end up being just 2 because COVID is undefeated, just like year 2020 is. You have to take an L. Mimi Collins led Maryland past Rutgers 91-87. She had a career high of 22 points to go with 7 rebounds. Diamond Miller added 19, and Chloe Bibby recorded a double-double with 15 points and 11 rebounds. The Terps opened conference play after 10 days off due to scheduling issues. Tied heading into the fourth, Maryland used an 11-0 run to take control in the fourth quarter, but Rutgers didn't go away. They cut the lead all the way down to 2 with just 5 seconds left. Junior guard Shanice Lewis, she did a great job. Stepped to the line and iced the game for Maryland. Garantis led the Scarlet Knights with 33 points. Number 14, Maryland, they're 4-1 on the year, 1-0 in conference play now. Will host James Madison, who's 4-2, Saturday at 11 a.m. at the Xfinity Center. All right, so the 9-4-50 breakdown. That's what we're going to move on to now. Again, Jamal Hayward continuing to knock this segment out each and every week. Oh, so grateful for it. This week, we're going to break down scoring options off backdowns. Again, breaking down scoring options off backdowns. That's going to be followed by our second break. And we'll see you guys when we return. You're watching the Focus TV. Enjoy the 9-4-50 breakdown.
Today we're going to work on some backdown options for bigger guards, wings, as well as 4s and 5s. So key things with that, being patient on the back down, as well as surveying the court. What I mean by that, surveying the court, offensive player at the top, see how the defender's playing them. They may have a wide open shot. Same thing for the wing, corner. Defender might be helping up too much or sacking in too much. They might have a wide open 3 or a duck in for a dunk or a layup, okay? You get my point. Back down, 2 dribbles, okay? Patience. Now, as you can see, I'm taking nice steps, long strides. I'm not rushing where I can get an offensive foul. So, I'm here. Back down. That's one option. Second option. Back down. Turn fade. On that fade, make sure you got a high release. You got a high release and you got some size, it's gonna be hard to block your shot, okay? Now, I just turned baseline and faded. Here's the counter. Here. Now, with that counter, make sure you're selling the movement. That first move when I turn baseline, this was my movement. So that counter, show the same body movement. Here, up, okay? Same thing on that side. So those are three options you have on the back down. Today we're gonna work on some back down options for bigger guards, wings, as well as 4s and 5s. So key things with that, being patient on the back down, as well as surveying the court. What I mean by that, surveying the court, offensive player at the top, see how the defender's playing them. They may have a wide open shot. Same thing for the wing, corner. Defender might be helping up too much or sacking in too much. They might have a wide open three or a duck in for a dunk or a layup, okay? You get my point. Back down, 2 dribbles, okay? Patience, patience. Now, as you can see, I'm taking nice steps, long strides. I'm not rushing where I can get an offensive foul. So, I'm here. Back down. That's one option. Second option. Back down. Turn fade. On that fade, make sure you got a high release. You got a high release and you got some size, it's gonna be hard to block your shot, okay? Now, I just turned baseline and faded. Here's a counter. Here. Now, with that counter, make sure you're selling the movement. That first move when I turn baseline, this was my movement. So, that counter, show the same body movement. Here, up, okay? Same thing on that side. So those are three options you have on the back down.
Welcome back to the Focus TV. Again, just a special thanks to Jamal Hayward for knocking out the 9-4-50 breakdown each and every week. As far as the Wizards update, they lost their preseason opener to the Nets, 119-114. If you want to get a little more in-depth, some of our in-depth thoughts on that, head over to findersmag.com, mymonosports.com for the recap where Cardell, Raymond, and myself shared our thoughts on the game. Their next preseason game is Thursday in D.C. when they host the Detroit Pistons. Today, Coach Scott Brooks and Davis Bertans spoke to the media. So here's a few notes from their availabilities. As far as Russ and Brad, there's a good chance that they'll actually play on Thursday night. They didn't play in the opener. Bertans is not expected to play. They're still bringing him along very slowly. He's getting some work with the group in some sessions, some portions of practice. But when the training staff feels it's a little bit too much, the workload's a little too heavy, they pull him to the side, and he continues to work individually. Nothing's been decided as far as the final roster spots, still up in the air. As far as Denny, his disposition on the defensive end was discussed, and Coach Brooks mentioned how much the kid you can visibly see he does not like to be scored on, and Coach says you need that in this league. And Cardell, Ray, I think it's fair for me to say that's a disposition that was sorely missed last year in any iteration, maybe in the past few years of the Wizards, right? But one thing they spent a lot of time on today, and you could just look to the first half of the preseason opener, just put a lot of time in transition defense. One of the things Brooklyn did, I know it was Brooklyn's first time out, there was a whole lot of look-ahead passes, easy run-outs, whether it be off makes or misses. Brooklyn was running out the floor. So it was something that they worked on. As far as Bertans or his portion of availability, he said he's been eager for a few months to get back on the court and play. He talked about the improved shooting on the roster, how defense will have to adjust for Brad and Russ, just the gravity that they bring and carry with them as they move about that half court, and how to open things up for everybody else. Both Brad and Russ are very vocal when it comes to leadership, something that he mentioned, and that despite it being, short period of time because it's a condensed off-season and training camp, that they already seem to have great chemistry. He also cited that one of the things Russell talked about to the team, like during the first preseason game, was that, just everybody was doing a little bit too much with Davies was saying, with Russ and Brad out, you saw, some of the youngsters trying to do a little too much at times. And that, one of the biggest things is it's going to take some time for everyone to adjust and understand their roles and then make sure that they do their best in those roles. And then lastly, he mentioned how watching clips of Wall this summer, at that point, he was preparing, he was trying to get some tips because he was preparing to play with John. But, obviously the trade happened. I believe that's not a shock to anyone. John Wall is no longer on the Wizards. Russell Westbrook is. And, Davies mentioned how some of their similarities, just watching the clips to get ready for John, has also helped them prepare for playing with Russ. But that's all I had with the Wizards. Cardell, rapid fire, sir. Unless you guys have something to add with the Wizards heading into Thursday's game.
All right. We can get right into rapid fire. Big news today in the NBA. Giannis and the Milwaukee Bucks reached a 5-year, $228 million supermax extension. Giannis' agent, Alex Aroudis, told ESPN that it would be for the full 5-year term, including an opt-out after the 4th year. Giannis released this statement: "This is my home. This is my city. I'm blessed to be able to be a part of the Milwaukee Bucks for the next 5 years. Let's make these years count. The show goes on. Let's get it." What are your thoughts on the extension, and what does this mean for Milwaukee and Giannis and the NBA overall moving forward? We're going to start with you, Randy.
Back up the Brinks truck. He deserves it. 2-time MVP, he's cornerstone of the franchise. It was a foregone conclusion. But as far as him receiving that type of contract, him signing it, I guess in the interim, it does show a level of commitment and loyalty to Milwaukee. But anything can happen in the league. So as it stands now, he's committed for 5 years. So that's just what it's going to be till it's not that if something changes. But it's good to see a star like that commit to a small market team. Every time there's pending free agency for a player of Giannis' stature, they bring up the same 2 or 3 teams. So it's good to see that he's at least looking to stay and build something and try to and try to get some stability within the franchise. So I think it's a good look, man. It's hopefully they can they can make something happen with those 5 years. But yeah, man, it's just good to see some parity and not just the same old people signing with the Lakers or what have you. Yeah, man, it's a win for the small market guys.
All right, Octavia.
Yeah, that's my biggest takeaway from that. It's like a big win for small market teams. Players of Giannis' stature don't usually sign on with small market teams, or like you said, the same big market teams are always looking to score these big players. So I think it's amazing that he wants to stay where he feels like he's grown the most, and build on that. He definitely deserves every cent that he's given. He's earned every piece of it, being one of the first players in who knows how long to win Defensive Player of the Year and MVP. It shows you how committed he is. He's willing to sign for the 5 years. And maybe, with him signing on for that, it will open up at least this one small market. And maybe other stars will want to come play. Maybe not like large stars, because I feel like he just needs a compliment that he's still looking for. But if he is dedicated to be there, and they have to continue to trend upwards as well. He's been there for 5 years already, and he made the playoffs in 3 out of the 5 years, I believe, but lost in the first round each year. So it's really going to see how committed they are to getting more players around him as well. And it makes you think that they are committed to that, because I'm pretty sure that was something that was talked about in negotiations. But kudos to him. Like I applaud people standing for their morals and wanting to do it on their own, because we all know, when the big decision happened, a lot of things shifted in the NBA about teaming up and trying to have the most superstars on one team. It's nice to see somebody kind of stand in their own lane and try to do it for themselves.
All right, Wilson.
Yeah, it's obviously great for Milwaukee. Kind of like a sigh of relief, right? For what you spent to bring Drew Holiday on board. I know that was a nice deep sigh for the front office, because one of the things with the assets thing, and one of the things with acquiring Drew Holiday, it wasn't cheap. And the other thing with Drew, there's an opt-out with this clause. Obviously, it looks better now. If you got Giannis locked in for 5 years, Drew's probably going to do the decision to opt in becomes that much easier. Clearly, and then going forward, we get a chance to see as the Bucks try to continue to tool around them. They got 4 years, right? At the very least, we know you got them for 4 years. You got 4 more years to do your best at continuing to surround them with better pieces. So we're going to see how that works. But I'm not too surprised. Giannis is he's stubborn. Like he wasn't going to leave. He's been clear about his intentions. It feels like, to me at least, the entire time he wants to do it on his terms. So it wasn't a shock to me in the least bit.
For me, it's refreshing. You know what I mean? It's kind of that old school, I'm going to accept the challenge type of deal. And that's why I respect Giannis. That's why he's one of my favorite players in the league. He don't follow trends. He don't take the shortcuts. He don't take the easy way out to, achieve success. He's literally the walking poster child of grinding for everything from his entire journey getting to the NBA to this point. All he knows is the grind. And this positions Milwaukee to possibly get their first championship since, Big O and Lou Alcindor, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was wearing the jersey, man. And and that's just big, man. You know what I'm saying? The game is built on competition. That's what made everybody kind of love the NBA. I mean, we love basketball in general, but that's what made the NBA special. The best players in the world competing at the highest level. You can't just get that anywhere. If they all on one team and teaming up, it kind of just distorts that. It really don't. It don't hit you the same. You know what I mean? Because you already know what to expect. You already know that, all right, it's they're not this particular team is not. They can't be beat. So, it's really no competition. It's just turn on the games and just see what happens, how many points they score, how much they win by, keep it moving. But with this parity and with their, him accepting the challenge, and other guys you starting to see accept the challenge and try to build somewhere they at, it's just refreshing, like I said, man. I hope it, kind of follows this trend so we can get back to always having competition and do away with these super teams. Next question, we're going to stick on James Harden. He's going to suit up tonight. And he told the Rockets he'll be professional and engaged, but he still wants to trade. New Rockets guard John Wall said he expected James Harden, who requested a trade, to stay in Houston this season. According to Ramona Shelburne, she said the arrival of John Wall has left all NBA guard James Harden unmoved and uninterested in pursuing a new partnership. And the franchise star continues to push the Houston Rockets for a trade. Harden, league MVP and 3-time NBA scoring champ, has expressed to the Rockets ownership and management his intention to be professional and engaged upon joining the team. Just what are your thoughts on the whole situation and, James Harden wanting out? We'll start with you, Octavia.
It's hard for me to believe how professional he'll be. I want to see it because he's not starting off great. With missing training camp and everything. So I don't know how professional he's trying to be. Maybe he's saying from now on, but I don't really know. It's just weird because I know he wants out, and I guess he feels like that the franchise isn't going in the direction that he wants it to go in. With all the changes and all the people that's been moved in the past year, but it's crazy to me just because most of the changes that they made were predicated on him. Moving Clint Capella, trying to go more small ball was for him and Russ. And I understand Russ is gone, but John is no slouch. Of course, we know that. So it's kind of crazy to me. I just kind of feel like he just wants what he wants right this second. And, I'm interested to see if the Rockets are going to oblige and do it, or if they're going to make him stick it out and play. Because we don't know how that can work out. He's saying he wants to be professional, but, people have pride and ego issues just like anybody else, and they want what they want when they want it. But I don't know, because it's a tough one for you to just up and move your star player less than 10 days from the opening game of the season. So I will be very, very interested to see how this works out. I don't bank on him being that professional, but we'll see.
Wilson.
I'm not shocked, man. This is one of the Rockets been trailing. Like this dumpster's been burning for a few years, man. Not shocked. You got the owner retweeting, slick tweets about the Warriors owner choosing to pay luxury tax to continue to compete. Like, if that's the dude at the top of the organization, I'm not going to absolve James for his lack of professionalism, but is it a shock that he wants out? Daryl Morey was on the first thing out of there. Then Tony couldn't wait to go. Like, this is one of those things that's weird with, like, and this is why I don't get why fans somehow find a way to try to relate to the billionaire owners, because you own a team, but you also don't care that much about it. So we already know what's going to happen. And I laughed at the report the other day when it's like, Houston wants 3 first-round picks. Man, y'all just threw that story out there so when you flip them for less, you get to say we tried. I give it like a month. He's not going to be there. It's a joke. I don't think much of Houston organization, especially the owner, and it's a raw deal for their new head coach, Stephen Silas. So, for him, I would love for them just to go ahead and start his era off clean, get the last of this, the old part of this out the way, and give them the opportunity to go forward. But I'm not shocked, man. The owner's a joke.
Raymond.
Yeah, man, I'm a Wilson. Like, this is a failure of leadership from the top on down. Again, James could have handled everything in a better way up to this point, but yeah, man, I don't blame him for not wanting to be there anymore. And I don't know how this is going to end or how long this is going to drag out, but they need to just do what they need to do and get him out of there. And because the longer he stays on the roster, the more of a distraction it's going to be. And it's hard to fully commit yourself to a situation that you don't want to be in. I don't doubt for a second that he loves the game, but that mental part and how much is he really going to be locked in for as long as he has that Houston jersey on, yeah, man. But this is like, like this owner gets to be terrible for years and years and years. But if say Harden's production would have slipped at any point, he would have been, not worth the money and overrated and all this other stuff. And then he would have been reduced to, just another player and probably traded for scraps, So, yeah, man, as far as Harden personally goes, yeah, all that missing training camp and all that stuff, that's a bad look. But, if he's committed to being professional for the remainder of his time there and still expressing that he wants out, then I see no problem with that. And yeah, they just need to get moving as soon as possible.
I mean, first off, it sucks for Silas, man. He finally get his opportunity, and he's coming to a situation that was totally not what he expected when he signed on to take the job. He could have stayed with Dallas with Luka, been at peace. You know what I mean? Keep building and stuff like that. But here we are. The owner is the owner. He's I mean, he reflects a lot of owners. Let's just say that across the league, man. Is that I like to tell people, remind people, they're not basketball people. They're businessmen. So they expect things to move and whatever in the NBA basketball wise, how things move in business. You got a good deal. The other parties with it, sign off and it's done. Like it's like that, like a light, like snapping your fingers. And that's not how it works with basketball. You're dealing with all types of athletes who's coming together for possibly one common goal. And I say possibly because, agendas will always be there, ego will always be there, and selfishness will always be there. It's a matter if you just put that aside, and everybody won't put that to the side and win. It sucks because I look at Wall and he looked like he's back to John Wall. Look at DeMarcus Cousins. They have talent on the roster. It's not like he's left there with, no disrespect, with a bunch of French guys, guys, two-way guys from the G League, and he has to try to average 50 and 15 assists to have them win every night. I can understand him leaving that. But, it just seems like once Mike D'Antoni was kind of pushed out by the owner, Daryl Morey dipped, and that's his cocoon. That's James Cocoon and stuff like that. But he's not totally not at fault for what the situation is either. The reason why he's hard to trade, not just because he's a great player, is because of his style of play. And obviously Houston gonna want to gut your franchise with a lot of picks and some key players for that guy, and they should. But at the same time, will he change his style to fit in with whatever team he ends up going to? And that's what I think a lot of teams are scared of right now. You see what I'm saying? And because let's face it, his style wasn't going to win anything. And it's hard to imagine him changing in his early to mid 30s to do what's necessary. Could he? Yeah, he could prove everybody wrong and do that. But, if you go into a good team or with talent or whatnot, which is what is going to have to happen if they're going to get some talent back for trading a former MVP and 3-time scoring champ, he's going to have to change his style. It's not going to be all about him anymore. He's going to an organization where somebody's already the guy, maybe two people are already the guy. And you gotta get in where you fit in. And I think that's what's scaring people. You know what I mean? And then if that don't work, you done gutted your future for him. You know what I'm saying? Right. So it's tough, man. It's tough as hell right now. So that, Houston in a bad spot, but I just hopefully this gets resolved. So like I said, my man Steve Silas, who's been waiting for years to get his opportunity, can put his imprint on it. And John Wall and Cousins and all them, they can get going. You know what I mean? Simple as that. And not have to have this hanging over their head throughout the season. Because it's not fair to them. Last question. Oh boy. Wow. We're gonna go to the NFL. Yeah. Jerry Jones. He offered Mike McCarthy, the vote of confidence. He said, "Not one time have I been in any discussion, had any dream, been sitting by myself, have I given a thought to anything but Mike McCarthy being our coach next year and being our coach in the future." Jones said Tuesday morning on 105.3 The Fan in Dallas. How in the hell something like that could get going with the conversation is ridiculous. I don't understand, frankly, just how so ridiculous this conversation is in terms of it actually having any meat on the bone. Yeah, I don't think I've even dreamed the thought of him not being the coach. Obviously, McCarthy's first season as head coach in Dallas has been far from a dream, with the Cowboys sitting in last place in the NFC East with their 4-9 record. Do you believe Jerry Jones? And not only do you believe Jerry Jones, would you make the change? We're going to start with our resident Cowboys fan, Raymond.
Man, with Jerry, full on senility is just set in, man. Like I just can't take anything serious that comes out of his mouth at this point. It's time. It's just time to go home, man. Like, but in regards to making a change, not this soon. Dak's not there. They have a laundry list of injuries on both sides. So, I don't think it, and then, with everything going on with COVID and all that, like, this is a abnormal year for everyone. So, I'll wait till things have returned to at least a resemblance of normalcy, and see what he does with a full deck. But even given all the obstacles he's had, there's still no excuses. He hasn't done a good job. So he deserves criticism in that aspect. But as far as Jerry Jones goes, he's proven he's not trustworthy, or at this point in his advanced age, we'll say that he knows what he's doing. So just get somebody else in there to make football decisions. So yeah, that's all I got on that.
Raymond looked tired. He like, I'm just tired of this. Tired of this BS. Oh, you, Wilson.
Oh, hey Ray, you know what that was? That just made me so much better about the year my team's having. There's adults running it, so I feel so much better. That just sounds good. My cousin is a Cowboys fan too, and the pain. Like, we could talk about any other team, he's cool. There's like a pause, just like you can hear the wound open, man. I mean, what he should do. Mike McCarthy shouldn't have been hired, but hey, you know how you cannot really be good at something in pro sports, especially in coaching. And some of the same folks get recycled. He's one of the dudes who shouldn't have been recycled. It was a bad hire. Like you said, we don't know what Jerry's gonna. I wouldn't be shocked if he's probably Jerry's the type of dude to say that, give dude a vote of confidence, at the same time texting Lincoln Riley like, "Hey, yo, you ready to come to the NFL? I got your seat ready for you. How about now? You sure?" So, I mean, it means nothing. Jerry doesn't know what Jerry's going to do until he does it. If I was Mike McCartney, I'd make sure that, I'm already packed for just in case. And just live out your suitcase, man. Hope you ain't set the roof down,
Yep.
Because, yeah, like, you know who hired you. You know what it is.
Xavier, you're going to close it out with you.
It sounds like Ray's insinuating that Jerry Jones has dementia, so he might need to go get that checked out. So it sounds like, but actually, yeah. Who knows? Like, Jerry don't even know what he's talking about half the time. Like, it's all just crazy. Like, of course, people are going to be thinking this because of the season you guys have had. And yes, there's been plenty of injuries. COVID is real. We get all that. But, I mean, they weren't doing really, really good when Dak was there. Dak was the reason why they were doing well, So it's only in turn that, of course, it got a little bit worse with Dak not being there. So it's just crazy to me that he wouldn't think that would be a topic of conversations because, of course, media wants to, hype up the drama and figure out what's going on. But I kind of believe him just because Jerry Jones doesn't really fix things that are bad quickly. He kind of lets things linger for a while. He'll test it out for the next 5 seasons and just be like, it'll be better next year. That's what they do with Garrett. Garrett was there, it felt like 15 years, if not, and it was never amazing. So I feel like he does genuinely inside. I think he really feels like I can give them another chance. They can do this. And I think it's only when, like you said, the people that don't have dementia are like, hey, this isn't really working. Let's try something else. But everybody's too scared to do that in the beginning. So they gotta let Jerry have a little bit of fun in the beginning. I think I definitely thought he would make it past this year with just COVID alone, not even injuries. I just feel like everybody's kind of getting a slight pass, especially with him being a first year with them. But I honestly don't put it past the next 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 to 10 years of Mike McCarthy being there.
Sheesh.
So.
Raymond. Raymond.
He know I'm not lying either.
Raymond, it's okay to enter the transfer portal as a fan. Become a free agent fan. I was there a couple years ago. Then Peyton Manning came, saved the day.
Man, my attachment
I couldn't do it.
loose at this point, man.
You said it's what?
It's hard to switch over.
I honestly don't care anymore. I mean, that's the only reason I still say I'm a Dallas fan. That's the only football team
That's
I
how we
like.
down is. Hey, bro, he sounds like somebody that got cheated on like 30 times. He just done. He just.
I haven't cared for years. To be honest, man, I haven't cared for years. Like it's because this, I'm not going to care again until Jerry Jones is no longer there. Like he's Trump. He's Trump. He's the Trump of NFL owners.
How old is he? Let's see how much longer you got.
Like come on, like that's the type of leadership I expect from him is the same as the guy that's about to leave in January. I mean, any Dallas fan that really puts their heart into this with Jerry Jones still in charge deserves everything they get.
That's a great way to end. And the last parting shot I have for Cowboys fans, I apologize. Karma's karma, man. You just had to re-up Dak, dog. He hit so many of these issues. He hit so many. Like, I hate to be the person like it's that phrase is that phrase for a reason. You just had to pay that boy. That boy hit all this for that long. He gets hurt, and it's like they don't got that. He's worth all that. He's worth every bit of it.
He's been but he's been dogging people in this organization for years, going all the way back to Jimmy Johnson. I think that's when it really started going downhill with the ego battle with him, and he still ain't made it right with him. Think about it. He still ain't made it right with him, man. He ain't in the ring of he still ain't honoring properly. And like you said, karma. People don't act like you want to act like karma ain't real and stuff like that. Okay, it's been downhill ever since. They haven't won a bowl or been in title contention since we were in elementary school. Mike was retired. He was playing baseball.
Man, it says starter jackets. That's the last time he was competing.
Oh, man, starter jackets.
I mean, I'm just look. I was just doing my part to help illuminate Cardell's point. That's it. But as always, get over to FiveSmack.com. Get over to MyMottoSports.com. As again, NBA season started. Still got a lot of stuff coming each and every week. Follow us on social to keep up to date. We'll see you next week. You guys have a great one.